Let's consider Joseph, who was put in prison. During his time there, he interprets the dreams of the chief butler and the chief baker. What Joseph tells them turns out to occur, yet, with the butler being restored to his position, he forgot about Joseph. Have you heard the term that no good deed goes unpunished? The butler should have realized that God was working through the man who interpreted his dream, and vouched for him to Pharaoh, possibly releasing the man of God from his chains. Yet he did not. It is good for us to remember that when times are hard for us, we need to keep the Almighty Creator in our minds. Remembering Him and His Word will help us when we struggle, and even if God doesn't directly remove the difficulty from our lives, through our character and striving to live as God would have us, we still benefit. Pharaoh himself has some dreams that bother him, and asks for his magicians and wise men to interpret them. They are unable to, of course, and finally the butler remembered Joseph and admitted his guilt to the Pharaoh himself. One thing I'd like us to notice is that Joseph himself tells Pharaoh, "It's not in me, but God will give you an answer of peace." And God does so. Not only does he do so, through the advice given to Pharaoh, Egypt is saved from the great famine, and so too are Joseph's own people, after he has a little fun at the expense of his brothers. I mentioned earlier how we are to remember God when times are hard, but we are also to remember God and give Him the due honor and glory when our lives are easier as well. Joseph named his two sons Manasseh, which means, "For God has made me forget all my toil and all my father's house," and Ephraim, which means, "For God has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction." So Joseph was able to forget the evil done to him by his brothers, and in spite of being in a land that hated God and his own kind, God, through him, saved the Egyptians and even Joseph's own people, and Joseph realized that. Joseph realized that God did not forsake him as the butler did. Instead, God worked through Joseph to accomplish great things, and as Christians, while we may not save entire nations during a famine, we can do much good as well. Joseph saved lives, but we can save souls. And that is why we offer invitations every time we worship. The opportunity to save the souls of those who are ready to obey the gospel. Those who wish to put to death their old body of sin, that they are no longer slaves to it, Romans 6. They can rise to walk in newness of life.